It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Michael Q.
Blaze and Silver are supposed to be close, but we mostly see them interact during crises. Can you give us some insight into what their interactions are like when they just have an opportunity to hang out?
You know, that'd be something nice to explore. I don't know if I have that immediately off the top of my head, because we don't, like you said, we see them in crises for the most part. Or deep, meaningful conversations, which are great for, dramatic purposes, but what do they do when they're just chill, So I think there's a few ways to take it, but that'd be something I want to actually explore within the actual comic or some other official media and see what gets approved and what gets corrected rather than just speculate here. This actually feels like work, homework, not fun spitballing because it's the BumbleKast.
I think they talk about burritos.
Quite possibly.
I mean, that's what I would talk about.
And Silver, yet again, makes the burrito joke, and Blaze, because she's his friend, continues to pretend to laugh.
No, she likes it. She thinks it's funny, even though she also thinks it's terrible. In the writer's room for the comics, are there any disagreements on how an arc should go? For example, deciding which character should be a part of it?
We don't really have writers' rooms, at least not in the projects I've worked on. In the kind of brief period when Evan and I were kind of trading off writing duties, which you're kind of getting into the tail end now, depending on when this episode airs. We kind of talked back and forth a couple times. I pitched an idea, she pitched an idea, we talked it out, and we're like, yeah, okay. And then went to the editor and then went to Sega. We have different narrative styles. We have different approaches to stuff. And, there may be something that I'm like, that's not how I would approach it. And here's why. And she would say, yes, but I'm going to do it this way because I think it'll work. And I'm like, all right, it's your project. You do you. It's not like I'm an editor or anything. It's a collaborative piece.
You have your own styles, but you probably will change a little bit. Maybe. I mean, you're not that unreasonable. Can you recommend a reason? Go ahead. Sorry.
Again, I guess what it kind of boils down to is just mutual respect. She respects my opinion enough that I can say I don't particularly jive with this, and I respect her enough to let her do her own thing and prove me wrong.
Yeah, as she should. Prove Ian wrong, Evan. Do it. Can you recommend a resource for comic writing that deals more with technical details like layout and style of the text? That is to say, is there a style guide or something that is helpful for learning about this industry?
Not that I am aware of. And aside from maybe a couple of particular publishers, there is no script style.
Yeah.
The style I used was taught to me by then editor Mike Pellerito, and I think that one was based more off of what was the general Archie in-house style, and I have since adapted it a bit from there. But my style is not necessarily like Evan's style or Danny's style or anybody else's style. I have been told by some of the writers, some of the artists I've worked with, that they like my particular style, which is nice to know.
Mm-hmm.
But there isn't like a hard and fast, concrete, this is how you format it. It's loosely like how they do television scripts. But again, it really does depend on the writer. Or if it's like Marvel, who has a very distinct style of how they want things to be done. I have a sample on bumbleking.com if you want to see how I do mine, and you can kind of go off of that. There are other books out there on the general comic creating process. Peter David's comic book writing? No, Writing for Comics by Peter David. And what is Scott McCloud's book that was like all the rage? Understanding Comics?
That's a good question. I don't know.
You look that up real quick. Yeah, Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. The latter of which I have not read myself, but a lot of people found it to be a good introduction to just the process. But again, I don't think those go into the specifics of this is how you put it together, and more like the philosophy behind it, with maybe some samples that you can emulate. So what it basically comes down to is you need to be concise and descriptive. You need to be clear in what you're presenting to the artist and take out as much guesswork as you can without making them read a novella per page. And, research, look up, writers that you enjoy and see if they have samples that you can go off of. Look for resources on writing itself for manuscripts and screenplays. See what works for you, what doesn't, and, ask yourself why. One of these days, I'm actually going to sit down and put together the lesson plans that people seem to be wanting, but I just keep forgetting to do so.
Yeah. Never keep secrets from your artists. Your artists aren't there to be intrigued by your story. They're there to work and draw your story as best as they can. So, yeah.
There was one, I will leave names anonymous to protect feelings. There was one artist friend of mine who vented to me about a project they were on where the writer introduced a mysterious figure early on to be revealed by the end of the story. But in the script, there is no indication of who the mysterious figure is.
Uh-huh.
The artist had no idea how to portray them. Like, it isn't just a simple silhouette. Is it male? Is it female? Is it, heavy set? Is it small? Are they wearing a disguise? Is there something to throw them off? There's a lot of little details that you have to put in early on to make the reveal mean something later. If you just say a shadowy figure, you could draw a California raisin for all it matters. It's just a blob that doesn't mean anything. And when asked, the writer was intentionally vague because they wanted to maintain the mystery. Do not do that. You, as a writer for a comic, or if you're collaborating with others on a comic, you're all in this together. This is a team project. You need to be open and direct with them. You're not presenting this to them as an audience. You're presenting them a project that you're completing together. If you were like working on a Formula race car team and you're swapping out the tires and someone says, did you put all the bolts on? You don't say, oh, you'll find out.
I hope so, because there's only one.
Just, you gotta work together. So that's long tangent aside.
Gee, I hope so. Also, California raisins for next Sonic issue. Thanks for that spoiler. Recently, Amy has had her tarot cards added to her moveset. No, they're fortune cards, not tarot cards. What sorts of powers would you add to modern characters or classic characters who need to be reintroduced to make them more unique or different?
I'm hard-pressed to think of anybody who needs something else.
Does Bark need anything? I don't think so. I think he just goes punchy.
Well, it depends on what the game is, If you're doing a classic 2D platformer, what does he bring to the table in that very simplistic one-button scenario,
Yeah.
Like, Mighty had the shell drop and, his ability to bounce off of spikes. That's a nice passive thing. Bark is he's got reach. He's a bit of a grappler. So I don't know how that would translate to something where you're meant to continue forward and with momentum. I don't know. Maybe you can take a page out of Amy's book and do a double lariat mid-jump for a larger attack radius. But
I don't know. Maybe he just needs a hug.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's probably soft.
And if he's, going to be in a 3D environment, well, then does that mean you can play into the grappler angle? Can he be a brawler? What is the game? What does it mean? So
maybe he gets all stretchy and stuff like Werehog.
Maybe.
Because, hey, he had all that stretching and stuff in Sonic the Fighters.
Yeah.
That bounciness. So, hey,
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? So, yeah, and it's what we don't really need to tack a gimmick onto a character necessarily to make them different for difference sake. What do they have in their kit that is interesting, and work with that.
Well, Kid has a backpack full of water, so I mean, you said it, not me.
I did.
Sonic comics have tried to add non-Eggman villains many times over the years. Naugus, the Iron Queen, Finitivus, Dr. Zachary, the Dracon Empire, and the games have made a few attempts as well. Lyric, Zavok, Eggman and Nega, kind of. What are some of the challenges in getting another villain to really stick around in the franchise?
Part of the problem is they just nailed it the first time.
I mean, they kind of did with Mario too, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like Bowser, there are other villains in Mario, but like usually it's just Bowser. Wario's like the only other one who kind of sticks around.
And then he's more of like an antagonistic rival.
Yeah, he's a bit more like a Knuckles or a Shadow than he is a actual
Mario
full
Land
villain.
2 aside, but yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the problem too is Eggman is just a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
Like he ticks so many boxes by himself. He steals the limelight. He's incredibly lovable, and he's also just threatening enough that you feel engaged with whatever plot he's doing, but not ever so diabolical that it sours him forever. And he just bounces really well off of Sonic. They are opposites and complements in so many ways, and we've covered this a lot of times on the show. The deconstruction of just what makes these two click could go on for hours. Mm-hmm. So how do you do that without just doing it again?
Yeah.
Like with Eggman and Nega, that's one of the reasons I dislike the character so much, is it's just Eggman again, except he's a little more polite and just a little more vicious. It's like that. That's Eggman again, depending on which game throughout the years you're playing. Really,
he even has the same voice.
Yeah,
he sounds the same. He looks,
he's a little readier, but
he looks almost the same. He sounds almost the same. It's like there's not really enough distinction there. Like you look at him and you think, oh well, he's just got redesigned for this game, or he's just wearing a different outfit, or he just, got his mustache bleached. You don't know. Mm-hmm. It's also really hard to say his name without it sounding like another word that we don't want to say.
And like you need someone who is equally a threat as Eggman, and he's always coming at you with the army of robots.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't introduce a new army every single time because Eggman's already covered the army of automatons. What do you do that's different than that? And having an army of living beings immediately makes things a little dicey, because now you have Sonic causing physical pain and injury to people, even if they are bad guys. Like, I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons why the Battle Bird Armada hasn't been around, because blowing people up with cartoon bombs is not quite as acceptable nowadays as it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to bump up the rating on Shadow's game because he's fighting living beings. Even if the black arms are mindless meat puppets, they're still living things that you're breaking open like goo pinatas. So I don't know. It's just everything got right with Eggman the first time. And it's a question of how do you do something that's just as interesting and dynamic for Sonic as a challenge that doesn't overshadow or replace or just copy what Eggman's already done.
Yeah. I think the main reason why Shadow got a rating bump is because of the fact that you kill gun soldiers.
But you used to, and then they backed off on that.
Oh, well, true. Either way, Shadow is a war criminal. Put him in jail. Lock him up. If IDW were to say that it wanted to pick up an IP upon which to base a new comic series and gave you the power to decide which IP that would be, which would you choose? Wow, okay, this is an open-ended question.
Here, Ian, a blank check in the toy store. Go nuts.
The chat's already throwing out guesses.
Honestly, I'm spoiled for choice.
Yeah.
Part of the fun of being picked up for a licensed book is to learn it and to figure out how it works. I would like to pick up Mega Man where we left off.
Yeah, yes.
And carry that torch. Or let Mega Man's legacy remain as it is and just pick up X and go from there, because X can work by itself.
Yes.
I've said many times before, I know exactly what I would do with a Star Fox book if Nintendo let me.
Yep.
I don't know, pick a mascot-driven IP video game from the 80s to 90s.
You want to?
Hell, I'll even do a Bubsy book. Give it to me. I'll give it a shot.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
Come on, Ian. You're allowed to say Skies of Arcadia.
Skies of Arcadia, yes, I want, but it would have to be done the right way.
I mean, yeah.
And I don't know if monthly comic is the right way.
Well, I'm sure IDW would appreciate some more time between each book so they don't have to pay so much.
And like, what would you do? Would you do just a straight adaptation? It's been long enough that it would be new to folks, but
yeah,
that's also just kind of retreading old ground. Explore the universe, but it's been a while. You know, you might as well be introducing a new IP at that point. You're just playing in that playground. Straight up sequel? Well, then I just want a game. I don't want a comic. I want the full experience.
Never just have what you want. Never have what you want. Oh, man. If you had to bring one character each from pre-Super Genesis Wave Archie, post-Super Genesis Wave Archie, Fleetway, and IDW to appear in the games, who would you choose? I know we've done this before, but...
Yeah, but specifically games.
Yeah.
That's a little different.
Yeah.
Like, pre-Genesis Wave... I mean, it also kind of, again, depends on what kind of game. Are we talking classic or are we talking modern? And modern is casting a wide net anyway.
Mm-hmm. How about Sonic?
Nah, that would never do.
No. Yeah, that wouldn't work.
I don't know. In projects that never saw the light of day, I felt like I would figure out how to make Rotor work in a classic Sonic setting. So, you know what? That boy doesn't get enough love. We'll say him this time.
Yeah, let's motor Rotor.
Post Genesis, maybe we'll say Sally this time because she was free of so much baggage that came pre Genesis Wave.
Mm-hmm. And she's got more combat. She's got weapons and
yeah, that version was more geared for game.
She's more combat focused, so we could have some fun with that.
Fleetway, I'm not as familiar with, but I keep seeing folks bring up techno.
Yep.
So, sure, we'll go with her. She's got a neat design.
Bring back techno.
And, you know, if we're going to say Amy's getting her own game, maybe she needs more of an extended cast.
Yep.
And IDW, Tangle.
Yep.
That's what she was built to do.
She is playable.
Give the girl a moment to shine.
Let her swing around like Spider-Man. I would do it. I would like it. What was the silliest thing that you're able to talk about that you ever wanted to add to a story, but that was not allowed? We do mean silly here, like Captain N or Mean Bean Machine levels of silly. Did you try to make a Captain N reference in Mega Man ever? Or did you? And I'm forgetting it?
I don't think so.
You didn't try to make
anything. You
didn't try to make Rock say Mega everything, did you?
It probably would have been in the off panels, and that would have been either John Gray or Aaliyah doing that kind of deviltry. And to them, I salute them.
Yes, yes.
I mean, John gave us the Lion Men reference, for pity's sake. So,
the
only thing that immediately springs to mind was there was a full-on Monty Python on the Holy Grail reference in Sonic X, where it was, you know, they were no longer the knights who say "ni"; they were now the knights who said "eki eki patang zupow zivi."
All right, that's very long.
The concern was that one of the words could be misconstrued for innuendo, so we just like tinkered with it. But otherwise, the reference was still in there. So I don't know. I get away with a lot of my sillier, stupider crap.
I guess that's
the forced meme references, the lyrical call outs,
even the accidental ones like big oof.
Even the Homestar Runner references here and there, in there. So
Good. Sonic deserves to get the Ghiblies. I don't think that ever actually happened, but
no, but there was a moment where Bean, being extra discombobulated, said, "Excuse me, monstrosity, do you have the times?"
Do you have the times? Yes. That's the important part. Must ask for the times. If Mega Man had continued, would you have preferred to eventually have the classic series comic end and go to X, or would you have wanted to have Mega Man and Mega Man X run at the same time?
Oh, give me all the toys.
Let Ian write all of them all at once.
That and, X is standalone. It doesn't need classic necessarily. There are small things here and there, but they are, intentionally nebulous, and they're debated to this day by the hardcore fans. So X would be able to have stood on its own and told its own story in tandem with a classic book.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been, Sonic and Sonic Universe again. It's just Mega Man and Mega Man X.
Yeah.
That and the plot map I had for classic Mega Man would have been ending around now. I say as we record this in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have meant everything since the hiatus to now would still be classic, and we would just now be getting like X in 2024. Dear Lord, no. I don't wait that long.
But the Mega Man. I want the Mega Man. Oh, yes, the hiatus. Yes.
It's kind of a sobering thought to think that had the book not been interrupted, we would be coming up on probably the end of it by now.
When is that hiatus ending, Ian? Tell me. Anyway, one last question. You have to make a sequel to Sonic R and you can't say no. What's the story? Who are the racers? And what's the platform?
Why would I say no?
Well,
forget your air boards and your transforming cars. It's Sonic. We should be on Sonic R12 by now.
And it should be on the Dreamcast too, damn it.
And who's in it? Everybody.
Everybody.
Like I see the promo trailer in my head clear as day. Just this slow synth build over the original track, and the first, everybody. It's like Sonic and Silhouette, and then it transits to Shadow, Knuckles and Tails, and then on the second repeat, it's Team Rose. Third repeat, you see it's Team Dark, and then it just keeps building until it goes to the big just scream out everybody, and you just see like a lineup of 20 freaking characters. I want them all. I'm not joking. I want like Crash Team Racing levels of representation. I want everybody, and most of them on foot if it makes sense. Like maybe the Babylon Rogues have to use their boards. Maybe Eggman has to be in an Eggmobile, but by God, they're fast-running critters. Put them on their feet.
It's like the Smash Brothers Ultimate reveal. Everybody is here. I want it.
Like each cup is representative of a major title. So you got your South Island Cup, your West Side Island Cup, your Angel Island Cup, and Knuckles Cup. You got your Adventure Cup, where there's like a track through Station Square that takes you out through Speed Highway and then back into the city itself. You've got your Mystic Ruins track that takes you through the Lost World ruins and all around. You got your Egg Carrier track. You got your Perfect Chaos Final Lap track, where there's lots of stage hazards. Like, just go freaking nuts. Throw all the money at it. My God, I want this.
One suggestion I'm getting is Tom and Maddie are also there. On foot.
Everybody.
They can
be in a police car.
Literally everybody.
And the story is that, I don't know, Eggman wants the Chaos Emeralds and he's holding a Grand Prix to trick everybody into finding them for him. An excuse plot. It doesn't need to be a story for a racing game. Just have them go.
Gotta go fast. That's the story. The story is gotta go fast.
This is one of those ideas that I've had for a while that almost drives me to start game developing because I want this. I need this.
Yeah.
And it has to be Sonic R2 specifically.
Yeah. And none of that mean teasing with just the R that looks like the R from Sonic R, but then they reveal it's not actually Sonic R.
Sonic Riders. I am still
No.
about that.
No. That was Team Sonic Racing.
Was it Team Sonic Racing? Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot that one, but that's maybe because I like Team Sonic Racing.
I mean, I do too, but I do feel like it was kind of like, why did you use that R? You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing.
Now I more remember Sonic Riders and that very prominent R in the logo. I'm like,
did they do it? Did they do it there too?
I think so.
Yeah, rude. That's what that R stands for, is rude. Oh man. No, bring back Sonic R.
An honest to goodness Sonic R sequel where it's you're running through these like theme park tracks basically. And, keep the ring counter gates only, instead of when one person opens it, everybody gets through. You have to have a certain amount of rings to pass through that shortcut. More iconic items. Or, even some of the wisps from Team Sonic Racing. I thought those were a nice stand-in for your Mario Kart arsenal. But just happy music. Just like happy, bouncy, crazy music. Unapologetically happy music all the way through.
Yes. Hello, TJ Davis. We need you.
And like really vary up the tracks as well. Like, I mean, I guess going back to Sky Sanctuary is kind of a requirement, but let's see some other environments, some other tracks. Like, I don't know, Angel Island as a track, and it starts off all lush and green, and then by the third lap, everything's been firebombed, and it changes the course a little bit,
That's
have a Marble Zone track where you're running along the upper grounds and like there's the lava pools and then you go underground into the ruins and then come back out topside.
I want it. Ian, please. I mean, just use the Hedgehog engine as it is. Use like the current engine. Too, like, it's like it's already built for like a racing game style on foot. You can do it.
Like I distinctly remember playing the Missouri stage in Sonic Unleashed, and like this handles like Sonic R could.
Yeah.
If you made this a racing game, it would work.
Yep.
So do it.
Do it. Please. Sega, do that, and then also work with Koei Tecmo, not Tecmo. Yeah, it is Tecmo. Make a Buzo game. Come on. Let's have some cool spin-offs.
And absolutely keep the element that Sonic R had that, Diddy Kong Racing did so exquisitely is explore the stages a bit for hidden items. Learn the track so that you can go way offbeat, use the racing mechanics in some loose platforming because that's not what it's designed for, but it's still kind of fun. And then go back and you win the race and you get the cool unlockable. It makes it different from the other kart racers. It's so iconic and unique, and I want it, and it's not there.
Well, in our dreams, we can have it, Ian. We can have anything we want, including the end of this BumbleKast.
If you want a BumbleKast Mini of your own, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member. Thanks to Michael Q for sponsoring this one. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.
Everybody!